Charles Kuck is an immigration lawyer. He's represented migrants and asylum seekers in more than 700 trials before the U.S. immigration courts, and we welcome you to the program. So listen, you are on the front lines of this. How are asylum seekers, migrants reacting to this news? Because, you know, even before this happened, this was quite a daunting process for them to be able to remain in the United States.
Well, we've already seen a dramatic reduction in the grants of asylum cases in the immigration courts and from the Immigration Service. So this is going to have even a greater impact. Just today, I've received a dozen emails from clients asking how this new announcement, as unclear as it is going to impact their cases.
But Charles, is it legal? We have seen the courts push back on so much of this. Does President Trump, is the law on his side when he's trying to do this? Because this is incredibly sweeping. In fact, so sweeping that you'd have to question whether or not the administration could actually do it. They'd have to hire a lot more people, or other things that DHS does, for instance, would really slow down.
Well, it's unclear whether it's completely legal or not. Congress gave the president pretty dramatic authority in Section 212 of the Immigration Nationality Act, authority which the Supreme Court confirmed on the president when he went through the Muslim bans in the first administration. This ban seems to be even larger and doesn't really appear to be connected in any way to specific issues that would give rise to safety and security in the United States. Keep in mind, this shooter was just granted asylum by the Trump administration a few months ago. So it's kind of surprising this is happening, but reading the president's truth or whatever they call those things on his website, that doesn't appear to be written by Trump. That appears to have been written by Stephen Miller, who we know is really out to stop all legal immigration to the United States.
When you look at the process, though, itself, and you're a lawyer trying to help people to claim asylum, get those cases obviously referred to the courts and allow them to stay here safely. When they are denied, that also is a huge issue, right? Because many of them, one of the countries on the list is Haiti. Would they actually return people, deport people back to Haiti?
Well, we know they have. They already reported people back to Haiti already. So we know they're going to do that. The thing about this announcement is it's not just about asylum. It's not just about asylum. It's actually about legal immigration. They're telling people who want to go through the legal immigration process that they will not be able to come into the United States if they're from one of these countries based on discretionary grounds. And we've already had a colleague today receive in the mail a request for additional information about why they shouldn't deny their client's visa extension because of the president's announcement. So this is not just about asylum. This is about everything.
Already, this is happening in real time.
Already.
And
in real time.
We just showed as well the review of green card holders. Now, to be clear, green card holders are legal, permanent residents, usually on their way to being able to become full citizens of the United States. We're showing the list right now. Charles, what does that tell you? Is that unprecedented, really, in this sweeping way to be able to review that?
You're talking about a use of resources that is not just unwise, but possibly impossible to have. The Immigration Service is paid to adjudicate cases. They're not paid to re-adjudicate cases. So that means it can take people who have been paid to do work that is now not going to be done to go back and look for 5 years worth of cases. That's legally as long as they can go back and try to see whether they should take that person's residence away. But here's the thing. Even if they do that, that person then goes to immigration court where they can renew the case. And this is not just about discretion. You can't come in later and reinvent criteria that didn't exist. So this is going to cause a lot of consternation, but not necessarily going to cause a lot of revocations.
All right, Charles Kuck for us. We've learned a lot. I appreciate it, and we'll continue to check in with you about this process. Now.